Hello, students. Hope you are doing well. And welcome to uh, Shiva Institute of English, where we are going to discuss one of a particular type of questions called parasummary based questions. So, as far as you know, that parasummary is a kind of a question types where we find out a text which is length of 80 to 100 words or maybe more than that, 120, but not means like a passage, we can say. Uh, and it is a kind of a compulsory question in our CAT examinations for the uh, last many years. Mm. And it also comes with a without choice based question. It means you have to type the answer of these questions. And another thing is that it doesn't carry negative marking, so which is a good thing. But let me point out, it's not that easy what we think for, right? Because it's a kind of a text come with a lots of caustic criticality and also jargon based, having with a unfamiliar subject types. If students are not doing the good practice of this and not following with a good strategy, then definitely they come with a uh, inaccuracy on this particular one, right? So let me first discuss this first question. What does the direction say here? The direction says the passage given below is followed by four summaries. Okay, so choose the option that best captures the author's position. So I hope you know that what is the means process of summarizing best questions. Generally, in our 10th or 11th uh, or 11th and 12th standard, we have come up with this summary based questions, but that's writing based, right? But this one is uh, choice based. Now, if you compare between that writing section with this choice based one, you won't find out the uh, uh, that difference, because in writing also whatever the process we follow, right, we also need to observe the same kind of a thing from the choices. Remember that our main priority is called as means to observe that how one is different from the other three, isn't it? Okay, so we'll follow the different strategy and methods. mm, in our Paris summary based discussion. So let's discuss this first example, which is given here. The statement stated here: evaporative coolers have existed in some form since at least 2000 BC, also known as swamp coolers. They can help reduce the indoor temperature in dry climates by facilitating the passage of air over or through a wet piece of fabric. They can range from more primitive versions like hanging dampened drips or bed sheets over open windows to modern versions that rely on a fan to move the air. Instead of an open door or window, in place of damp material, some people used ice when it became commercially available. On sweltering days, you could run a fan over a block of ice and get a similar effect to air conditioning. McNeish explains this was the method US Navy engineers used to keep James Garfield cool during the 80 days he spent in his White House sick room before dying from a gunshot wound on September 1980, 19, September 19, 1881. Now we understand that what this text is trying to tell us. Now, if you look into this, the the topic is tries to state it about swamp coolers and how that have been around since ancient times, even back to 2000 BC. And these devices help make indoor spaces cooler in dry areas by blowing air over a wet piece of fabric. Early versions included hanging dam sheets and open windows, while modern ones use fans to move air. Some people even used ice when it became available and placing a fan over it for a similar cooling effect. For instance, US Navy engineers example used this method to keep President James Garfield cool in 1881 when he was recovering from a gunshot wound in the White House. Now, that is what all in all about the swamp cooler. So, what is the main idea? The main idea is all about evaporative coolers and how it existed means since 2000 BC, which is known as the swamp coolers, and how it uh, makes somebody feel cool, isn't it? So, on the basis of that, it is stated. Now, let's move for the questions option and see that what does this statement actually come up with the appropriate summary. Now, let's see that. Mhm. Good. Uh, so the first option says here, evaporative coolers dating back to 2000 BC use wet material to reduce indoor temperatures in dry climates. Now you could see that four options are provided here, and we need to identify which option is best to present the summary of the text. The first one stated that evaporative coolers dating back to 2000 BC use wet material to reduce indoor temperature in dry climates. Um, if we observe this particular statement, what does it try to give us the idea? Option one accurately mentions the historical context, right? Because it is stated, no, evaporative coolers used from the ancient onwards in 2000 BC use wet material to reduce indoor temperature in dry climates. So that's what the summary could indicate or not, we need to observe. Okay. So if we see here in option, what does it say? Means it accurately mentioned the historical context by stating that evaporative coolers used dating back to 2000 BC, but it lacks the crucial detail about swamp coolers and the modern fan powdered variations. Because it you would find out that the text stated about what? Stated about swamp coolers and the modern fan powdered variation. So which is missing here? It is stated use wet material to reduce indoor temperatures in dry climates. Okay, let's see that before we jump to the first option. So moving to the second option, what does it say? Second option says evaporative coolers, known as swamp coolers, employ air circulation over damp fabric to cool indoor spaces. Right. What does it say? It says that evaporative coolers, known as swamp coolers, employ air circulation over damp fabric to cool indoor spaces. Now, what's the difference between option A and B? Option A stated about means we started using evaporative coolers means since 2000 BC onwards, right? Whereas option B and also stated about wet metal to reduce indoor temperature in dry climates. So means in which of the time we use it, that's also option A start trying to state us. But option B stated about what is evaporative coolers and mm, means what it does actually and how it does actually. It is stated that evaporative coolers, known as swamp coolers, employ air circulation over damp fabric to cool indoor spaces. Fine. So option B seems better than the option A, but look at the option C and D. Option C stated that evaporative coolers from ancient versions with damp dates to modern fans lower indoor temperatures in dry climates. Evaporative coolers from ancient versions with damp drains to modern fans lower indoor temperature in dry climates. Okay, this could be called as a part of the text, uh, but does it take the main point of it? Uh, no, actually, because it is If you observe that um, option 3 tries to do what? Option 3 mention the transition from ancient method to modern fans, but it does not explicitly mention the use of damp fabric or the alternate name of swamp coolers, right? Which we can find out in option B, that we don't find out in option A. Option D stated ice and air circulation, including fan powder methods, were used in early forms of evaporative uh, cooling. Now, if you observe also option 4, it correctly identifies the use of, you can say that ice and air circulation. Uh, it lacks the detail about damp fabric and swamp coolers, again, which are significant access to of the passage. Now, on the basis of that, we can consider ACT are creating a kind of a distorting some parts of the main idea in the main text. So, whereas option B tries to give a clear idea about it. Let me give you the more detailed information about it. So, what we can draw here, uh, the option 2 stated about evaporative coolers, which is known as swamp coolers, employ air circulation over damp fabric to cool indoor spaces. So it gives a nothing but a succinct and accurate summary of the passage's main point, including the historical context of evaporative coolers, their alternate name, swamp coolers, and the use of damp fabric to cool indoor spaces, and the mention of modern variation involving fans, right? So damp fabric to cool indoor spaces. This summary captures the essential information about evaporative cooling methods, right? So that's what you would find out in option 2, which will be considered as the most appropriate answer option to this. Hope you understand.